Hi, my name is Ann Sermons Gillis, and I am interviewing members of Unity of Charleston. And I'm very excited to have today a wonderful woman. Let's welcome Clarissa Mickle. Welcome, Clarissa.
Thank you.
Yay. I want to find out a little bit more about you and find out, well, where did you start out this life? Where were you born?
I was born in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. My dad was a pilot in the Air Force in World War II. That's where I was born. I actually lived there within 5 miles of where I was born for 23 years,
Oh,
much later.
wow. Well, can
Yeah.
you repeat that a little? I did not understand the name of the town.
Oh, Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
Fort Belfort?
Belvoir,
Belwart.
Fort
Okay.
Belvoir.
And I'm sorry, did you say it was in the military? What branch?
Oh, my dad was in the United States Air Force. He was a pilot in World War II.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Did you ever take flying lessons?
Yes, I did. I soloed in a Super Cub.
Oh, wow.
Tail dragger, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like Peanuts plane. So,
Oh, cool. Did you get your license or did you take lessons?
no, I didn't. I flew for a while and then ran out of money.
Yeah, they are expensive. Well, where do you live now?
Live in North Charleston, South Carolina.
And as I said when I interviewed Ed, I know that you live on the Ashley River. It's a beautiful location.
Oh,
Beautiful
thanks. We love
place.
it.
And I'm guessing the same thing brought you to this area as brought Ed to this area, but just tell me why you came here.
Well, three grandchildren, and my son and his wife lived here, and they were in elementary school, and we didn't want to miss being part of their lives.
Yeah, so you've been here, what, 9 years?
9 years, yep.
And they've grown up now, huh?
I know. Two are in college.
Two of them in college, so they're
Mhm.
getting pretty old. So tell me about this man you're married to. How long have y'all been married, and what's his name?
Uh, his name is Ed, and we've been married 44 years, I believe.
Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
a long time, a long
Hmm.
time. So, could you tell me what your career was?
Yes, I was a nurse for 30 years and I did a variety of things. I started out in a coronary care unit when they were brand new. As a matter of fact, my right elbow was on TV when they did an interview there when at the unit. And after that, I worked in the recovery room and the operating room for several years. And that's when I lived in Tallahassee. Then we moved to DC, where I worked in the inner city in the hospital there for 9 years. And there I did med surg, oncology, and renal. And then I went to graduate school, got my degree in nursing and hospital administration, and ended up at the National Institutes of Health. And I worked there for 12 years. And Dr. Fauci was my boss. I worked for National Institute of Allergy and Arthritis and allergy and infectious diseases. And I worked in endocrine and peds, and then I became an internal consultant.
Well,
So,
as I remember, do you still work some? Do you still?
well, I do not as a nurse. I work at Medical University of South Carolina. Ed and I both do, and we're standardized patients to let the med students practice on us. And then I also have a second little job there. I'm a teaching assistant, and I train the medical students how to do physical exams. It's just
Okay,
real part time. Yeah, it's part
okay.
time.
Well, you're quite active. Wow, that's amazing. Well, how did and when did your spiritual search start?
Oh my goodness, I think it started very early in my life. I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, and I was in Catholic school, and I began to just really be involved in Catholicism, the mysticism of it in particular, and was baptized Catholic when I was 11. So that's when it all started.
Well, were there any particular saints or anything that you identified with that were maybe more on the mystical side?
Um, Well, there were so many.
I
Uh,
guess they're all mystics, huh?
no, I think Saint Bridget was one. She's Celtic, Northern, Europe. Um, and a lot of the martyrs, they were very mystic like. So, Saint Stephen, so.
Well, how did you find unity?
Um, my very first introduction to it was through a friend of mine who married in the Unity Church in DC, and she would talk about her church. And then I think Ed mentioned we met a neighbor when we retired, and we started going to the Unity Church in Tallahassee. Excuse me.
So when you moved here to South Carolina, did you start attending the Unity Church here when you moved here?
Yes, almost immediately we
Okay.
did. Mhm.
Well, it's always great to see you on Sunday.
Well, as a matter of fact, the first time we were driving to church, I said to Ed, I'd been reading Butterworth, and I said, I really would like to find a Vipassana meditation group. And so we sat down, and one of the first announcements was that they were beginning a Vipassana meditation group at the church.
Oh, that is great.
We knew we were home.
Oh,
And the
that's
first time I went to the Unity here in Charleston, I thought, man, these people cannot be for real, because they really do appear truly loving. And I really didn't believe it until I continuously attended for several years, and it is true, and it still is true.
yeah, it's an amazing group of people. Really is. Well, what is your, in a few words, or a few sentences rather, what is your philosophy of life?
Um, I believe that we have the capacity for joy, and that we should really strive for that in our lives, happiness, contentment, and we should help others do the same, very simply.
That's beautiful. A lot of people try to be enlightened, and a lot of people, try to gain a lot of knowledge, but really to rest in that joy and to realize that it's there is beautiful. It looks like you and Ed are on the same page, and I'm on that page too. So do you have any favorite books or authors that you've followed over the years, perhaps now, or something that meant a lot to you in the past?
Well, recently I like um, Anthony Doerr is my absolute favorite. I read All the Light We Cannot See, and I loved that book. It's now on TV too.
What
And
did,
then
now,
I
what,
just
what is his last name? Spell that.
Doerr, Doerr, Anthony
Anthony.
Doerr.
Okay.
Mhm. And I just finished Cloud Cuckoo Land, his latest book, and it was fantastic. He also has a collection of short stories that I like. So he's my first favorite. And my second favorite is a North Carolina author called Ron Rash. And he writes about Appalachia. Both of these are fiction. So I really enjoy his books, In the Valley and The Waterfall. And he wrote, his blockbuster was Serena, which wasn't really one of my favorites, but he's an excellent author.
Well, tell me about fiction and spirituality. Do those two things go along? Can that,
To me, they do. To me, I see life as a series of stories, um, and it's just fascinating to me. So I think, reality and fiction just kind of merge, and I think through fiction, you touch other stories, and you touch parts of yourself with those stories. So.
I like that. I think part of what you may be alluding to is that fiction brings reality to life.
Yes, perfectly said.
It paints it so well. Do you participate in any spiritual practices yourself?
Actually, I would say the two main ones are, and really throughout the day, meditating, all this stopping and being still. So meditation, mindfulness meditation, and being in nature to me is highly spiritual practice. As Ed mentioned, we were deeply embroiled in earth-based spirituality. I've always been able to see the divine through nature and feel it. So being in nature to me is a spiritual practice, and meditation is a spiritual practice. I think kindness is also a spiritual practice for me. And trying to be kind and spread happiness. And I think that's a very spiritual practice.
I love that. Kindness is a spiritual practice. Well, do you have any passions or hobbies?
Oh my goodness, we've had so many through the years. We had a sailboat for several years, and we had a camper for several years. And when I lived in Florida, I worked at a kayak shop, and I kayaked all the rivers there. I was a river steward for the Nature Conservancy for about 4 years. And so kayaking was a passion for a long time. Now it's more walking in the woods and hiking, and we love to travel too. We've been all over the world, really.
Well, that's quite extraordinary. I didn't know all that about you. It's good to know. It's good to know that. So just wonder if you have any words of advice or just closing remarks that you might make as we conclude here.
Just seek happiness and play.
Looks like you and Ed are on the same page with that. And thank you for the reminder. We all can use that reminder. We want to lighten up. Again, Clarissa, thank you very much.
Thank you.